The time has come. 14 octagon-crazed warriors will step into the White House battleground in front of President Donald Trump with one goal in mind: to make history. With 2 title fights at the top of the bill, all that's left is execution. It's time for Zan Zinger Part 2, a fight day preview with your host, Zain Bando.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Zain Zinger Part 2 for Sunday, June 14th, 2026. This might very well just be the most anticipated episode of this very stream that we've done so far in its very short history. But welcome back to the extension of Bando's Breakdowns, that is Zain Zinger Part 2. My name is Zain Bando. Hope you all are doing well. Let's go through a few quick reminders before we get started. Like, follow, and subscribe. If you haven't already, please do so at youtube.com/EDB Network. You can follow the show on social media at Bando's Breakdown as more clips are coming out from this past week's episode number 94. So stay tuned for those as they roll out. You can listen to Bando's Breakdowns wherever you get your podcast. And of course, be sure to subscribe on the RSS feeds over there. And of course, you can listen and watch this stream over on all the X platforms. Again, Zain Zinger Part 2. You can catch it right now on YouTube and or X. We're streaming to a bunch of different X platforms. My Twitter account, the Bando's Breakdowns Twitter account, my YouTube channel, the ETB Network YouTube channel, and a bunch of other network channels as well. So if you're not already tapped in, tap in right now. And if not, come and check me out after the fact. That way we can build our watch hours up and so much more. Again, without further ado, I would be remiss if I did not plug the newest episode of Bando's Breakdowns, episode 95, will drop this Friday, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, only on ETB as well. So stay tuned for that episode and stay tuned for what's to come regarding episode 96, because we may end up getting potentially a week off because of my vacation. But nonetheless, that is going to be for next week. We will recap everything that we're about to talk about right now on this stream, particularly with UFC Freedom 250. But we are going to start with the elephant in the room, and I would be remiss if I didn't do this first. And we'll only spend a couple minutes on this because I know what you guys are here for. But let's take care of this first. So, without further ado, let's get into an introduction of the stream. Let's get into a few clippings for the network, what's coming up with the network, and so much more. So, tonight, the ETB Lounge with Kellen McClurg and Nick DiMartino. The weekend is almost over, but the conversation is just heating up. Kick back with the ETB Lounge with Kellen McClurg and Nick DiMartino every Sunday night. This will be continuing tonight during the card, the UFC Freedom 250 event. Every Sunday night, 8 Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Join us for, it's now going to be a 2-hour live format moving forward. 2-hour live format where we unite the full panel of ETV hosts to break down a pivotal day in sports, from the prestige narratives of major championships and MLB afternoon slates to the chaos of the NBA playoff picture, which now the NBA season is over. We'll get to that in just a minute. We cover it all. Whether you're here for the happy hour prestige or the spillage, where we roast the day's biggest blunders in gambling bad beats, the lounge is your home for sports therapy. Again, subscribe to the ETV Network YouTube channel to find out more about that. Fight IQ with Tom Albano will return this Monday night. Step into the cage every Monday night with Tom Albano. And for those of you who may have seen him here yesterday, he did a full-on preview show with me in a reunion sense. We used to be MMA Outsiders co-hosts together. He now hosts Fight IQ. Fight IQ breaks down the world of combat sports with the precision of a championship game plan, from analyzing the ground control of PFL events to bringing in the technical mastery of the world's best strikers. We covered the technique, the drama, and the business of the fight game. If you want to understand the IQ behind the world's most dangerous athletes, Tom has you covered every Monday night, 7 Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention as well, tonight, following UFC Freedom 250, Tom will be hosting alongside me after I take care of odds and ends regarding my own work obligations for the event. He will be tying up the loose ends with UFC Freedom 250 alongside myself. So stay tuned for a special post-fight show. We will look back on all the big winners and losers from tonight's event, assuming that there is going to be an event tonight, because we will get to that regarding the weather situation, which is something that has taken the Google traffic sphere by storm. And I can speak to literal experience that I am experiencing that right now without going into too many details. It seems like everybody is searching regarding the weather for the White House, but that's going to do it for a couple of reads for now. All right, let's get into the stream itself, though, and let's get started with everything that is going on. So to start, in the major sports realm, the Stanley Cup Final continues tonight with Game 6 between Vegas and the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are one win away from winning the Stanley Cup in what has been an unbelievable series to this point. It returns to Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. The T-Mobile Arena is going to be busy the next couple of weeks with the Stanley Cup Final obviously happening tonight and potentially for Game 7, as well as, of course, UFC 329, which as of right now, this very minute, is still headlined by Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. And I say right this minute because we know with Conor fights, things can change on a whim pretty quickly. As we know with the Michael Chandler situation, not a whole lot of time to get into that. What else is going on with this? So, in continuation, the NBA Finals wrapped up last night. The New York Knicks finally have won an NBA championship for the first time in 53 years. Jalen Brunson with a record-breaking performance in the win in San Antonio. A hard-fought win to the very end. San Antonio had a chance to either force overtime or win the game. San Antonio could not. San Antonio is a very young team. They obviously have a lot of stars, especially Victor Wembanyama, but the Spurs could not get it done when it mattered most. The Knicks took care of business and did so with a great core, man. OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart. It was just a resilient group. Trailing in halftime, it was 42-37. Just a phenomenal game. Let's take a look at the box score of Game 5 if we can, for those of you who may have missed it. Here we go. Let's take a look at it here. So, looking at the box score, the Knicks obviously win the NBA championship. 94-90 was the final score in this game. Let's take a look at some of the numbers here from this, if we can. Here we go. So, Jalen Brunson led the way with 45 points, 14 of 27 from the field. Josh Hart chipped in 13 points. OG Anunoby with 11. Karl Anthony Towns just held the 2. Overall, though, solid performance offensively for the Knicks. Let's take a look at the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama held to 19 points. Devin Vassell had 12. Chapanay, I think is how you pronounce his name. He had 14. Stephon Castle out of UConn, of course, had 6. And De'Aaron Fox and Carter Bryant. Well, Carter Bryant had none. Dylan Harper at 25. That's who carried most of the load for the Spurs. In fact, he had a chance to probably force overtime or win the game if they had a little bit more time to do so. Still very interesting stuff though from them as well. Let's take a look at some other numbers if we can. It is a 38% field goal percentage for the Spurs compared to a 35% field goal percentage for the Knicks. What else? Total rebounds. The Knicks out-rebounded the Spurs by 48-47. Offensive rebounds. The Spurs out-rebounded the Knicks 14-13. Spurs finished with 18 assists, while the Knicks finished with 14 assists. And regarding the turnover category, San Antonio, 2 more turnovers, arguably the difference late in the game for the San Antonio Spurs. So you never know. You never know what's going on with that. It's extremely unpredictable. But the Knicks win the NBA Finals first time since 1973. If you want a full recap of the game, check out the latest post-game show with Nick Morgeson and Johnny Montalbano. They were on for almost 3 hours last night talking about Game 5. And I'm sure Nick and I will get into Game 5 when we can on this new episode of ETB Sports that will come up on Tuesday. A lot to juggle right now. I'm so focused on these fights that I can't really think about much else regarding content strategy. But nonetheless, though, let's get into it and shout out to the 19 people that are in the stream right now. The UFC White House weather concerns. This is gigantic. It's been a story that's taken on a life of its own. A lot of people are worried about the weather. Just to give you some background on UFC's experience with outdoor events, those of you who maybe are new to this whole thing or have never watched the UFC before and don't know what to expect at all, I'd be glad to explain this to you guys. So, the weather, this is important. The UFC is hosting its first outdoor event in 16 years. The last time they did so was in Abu Dhabi. It was a one-night event, and it did not go well. Dana White has been largely public in saying that he hates outdoor venues, okay? He kind of admitted it this week at the pre-fight press conference on Thursday that he still hates outdoor venues, and I don't blame him whatsoever. So it's crazy to think about, but it is what it is, and that's exactly what happened. Or excuse me, on Friday is when this was. My days are all mixed up because of this Sunday start time, or Sunday day rather, too. Anyway, he was very adamant that he would just be going to arenas moving forward, which I don't really blame him for saying, because that is what the promotion is based upon, is indoor venues only. So here are some scenarios. So it looks as if it could rain. Let's take a look at the current AccuWeather forecast to kind of explain the scope of what's going on. So let's take a look here. And I'm sure AccuWeather has been getting insane traffic this week because all anybody wants to look up is the weather. All right. So right now, the temperature in Washington, D.C. is 85 degrees, partly sunny skies. It's an 88 real feel and in the shade with a heat index of 89. Wind is going about 5.4 miles per hour with wind gusts at 7 miles per hour with the air quality as normal. All right, let's take a look at tonight, which is very critical. So tonight, a thunderstorm or two in the evening, clouds breaking, humid, storms can bring flooding downpours and located damaging wind gusts with a low of 67. This is very concerning if you are going to these fights tonight, especially with the fan fest going on, because I bet most of you watching this, if you are going, do not have access to the event itself, as that was an invite-only event. At 7 p.m. Central, which is when the card is supposed to begin, that's 8 p.m. Eastern, there's a 51% chance that it could rain. Then at 8 p.m., the temperature increases to 83 degrees with a 54% chance of rain. At 9 p.m., it's 49%. At 10 p.m., it's 42% with a 78 degree clip. At 11 p.m., which is very much when the card may end, the rain and thunderstorms finally clear up. So the UFC's got to hope, number one, that if there is a delay, it's only about 30 minutes. Number two, they got to hope that if there isn't a delay, that the fights are great, because then there's no excuse, because the weather is not going to impact anything. And number three, they have to be prepared for contingency plans if, especially, they need to move the card up or back a little bit to a later start time. Some are rumored to say that if they needed to, they could start at 9 p.m., they could start at 10 p.m. So be prepared for pretty much any scenario. There are only 7 fights on the card, and knowing that the UFC's pacing is really good and that it's going to be one fight after the other, I would think that they would get it done in as quick of a fashion as possible, even with all the American history video packages that they will play before the fights start, before every individual fight starts. But that all remains to be seen. I'm not sure what to really expect, but that is the weather that you could be looking at for tonight. And again, it's been a major traffic driver on a lot of sports websites, including some of the sites I write for as well. I'm already noticing some potentially historic numbers going into the latter part of today and potentially tomorrow, with all the fallout from the event, assuming it goes off without a hitch tonight. So stay safe. If you're in DC, the Fan Fest is going to begin here soon. I think it's in a couple hours, the second day of it. And obviously that's where you had to win a ticket to go to either day 1 or day 2. A lot of people on social media I've seen are looking for day 2 tickets, because day 2 is the hot ticket where you can watch the fights on giant screens across the street in a picnic style setting, kind of like I've been teasing almost every week since about March or April. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see how this goes off. The production value so far on the first couple of things they've done, the weigh-in and the press conference, has been unbelievable. The parachuters at the weigh-ins yesterday were insanity. I think the production value so far, and the event hasn't even happened yet, is second to none. I'm very impressed overall with what I've seen regarding just everything that the UFC's done so far in preparing for this event, because this event has been a massive undertaking worth a reported $60 million. All right, let's move over to the fights now. I've already given my predictions for all of these fights, but let's preview this card from a more holistic standpoint. Let's talk scenarios. Let's talk about what might happen. Let's talk about how this impacts the fall. Let's dive in. So now reports are coming out that tonight's main event was supposed to be, well, one of them, it was going to be 2 title fights, but one of them was supposed to be Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. And according to Makhachev, the UFC made up a narrative that his hand was hurt when it was never hurt. They couldn't come up with the right amount of money to do the fight. Okay? Which is unbelievable. We could have had one of the biggest fights in UFC history tonight, and it didn't happen because of a monetary figure for a fight at the White House. Very disappointing, first off. There were rumors that, no Russians are going to be on the card. That ended up being false, because they clearly tried to make an Islam Makhachev-Ilia Topuria fight, according to Makhachev himself. So there's that. So that's the first big domino effect. So if you are a fan of wanting to see Ilia Topuria fight Islam Makhachev, you better be rooting for Ilia Topuria tonight. It's as simple as that. Because if Ilia Topuria does not win and Justin Gaethje wins, it causes this ripple effect to where the UFC will probably have to book an immediate rematch, because going into this fight, Topuria was undefeated, and there's no way they would take I apologize there. Anyway, there's no way that they would take an undefeated guy, or a would-be undefeated guy going in, a guy who had just lost his first fight in MMA, and wouldn't give him an immediate rematch. There's no way that doesn't happen. So if you are rooting for a Makhachev Topuria to happen in 2027, as early as what people are hoping for, you want that scenario. You want Topuria to beat Gaethje so this Makhachev fight can happen. So that's number one. That's a holistic narrative there. Now, number two, let's take a look at the co-main event now. You have Alex Pereira and Ciryl Gane. Okay. I got into an argument with someone on Instagram, and now my comments blowing up. Somebody said that Ciryl Gane is going to not just beat Pereira, but finish him. I don't see how that's possible. Okay. I understand Pereira's movement is all world. I understand that he has nasty power, but the way Pereira has looked since moving up to heavyweight, just physically, we haven't even seen him in the octagon yet, but physically, he looks so imposing that it's almost a layup that if he doesn't knock out Gane, something's going to be off for sure. I would be very surprised. This is what the UFC was probably hoping for when he moved up to heavyweight, is that he would look like, a scary specimen. And I think that's what they're getting out of Alex Pereira. I really do. And I think he will win, as I said yesterday. The question is going to be is if this drags into 3, 4, and 5, can Pereira keep up the pace with Gane? Because as we saw in the Magomed Ankalaev fight, Pereira struggled mightily and he lost. He lost a 5-round decision to Ankalaev. Obviously, avenged it months later last year, but still, Gane is a beast. It should be a good fight, but he better come in ready to go, because if he doesn't, Pereira's going to come out like a bat out of hell, and he's going to try to knock him out as quickly as he can. And obviously, with all the chaos surrounding the heavyweight division, potentially Tom Aspinall waiting in the wings if he's healthy and if they can figure out what's really going on with his contract at the moment, whether Pereira gets promoted to undisputed heavyweight champion, which I don't think a lot of people would be disappointed with, given that the scenario. There's a lot that could go on with that fight, but that is the narrative going into that fight. Obviously, as we know, Sean O'Malley needs a big win over Raymond Sahabi to stay in the bantamweight title mix. Josh Hokett and Derek Lewis, they could be fighting for championship positioning. Obviously, I just weighed out what is currently going on in the heavyweight division, but one of those two guys could be next in line for a shot at the title with an impressive performance. So we'll see how they look as well. What else is going on with this? Michael Chandler, Mauricio Huffy. Michael Chandler is 2-5 in the UFC. Can he get his first win in over 4 years against a very dangerous Brazilian knockout artist? I don't know if he can or not. Bo Nickel, Kyle Dawkins, that's a great fight. I really like Bo Nickel in that one, and Bo Nickel kind of would want to win in front of Trump because they've been friends for a long time. Would be interesting to see if that goes down as such. I would love to see that as well. We'll go in and we will discuss more of what happens with Bo Nickel later on tonight and next week, because Bo Nickel is going to be a factor in the middleweight division 1,000%. And then finally looking at the last fight on the main card, or the opening fight on the main card, Diego Lopez, Steve the Mean Machine Garcia, should be a phenomenal fight as well. What else is going on? Well, we got to talk about the other elephant in the room, which is the Donald Trump angle. So let's get this out of the way first. So Donald Trump, as we know, it's his birthday today. It's Flag Day as well. That's what the event is being billed as. It's a celebration of America 250. I'm going to be of the belief that I think it's a celebration about Trump, because and this isn't to get political, I'm just saying facts based on the days of the year. 4th of July, they couldn't do because Trump was too busy. He was traveling. He's going to be traveling a lot on the 4th of July. But that doesn't change the fact that the White House decided to do it on Flag Day, so there's obviously going to be influence there. And it's also a day that the UFC doesn't usually do. They usually go on Saturdays. So that's kind of a big question there, and a big kind of thought process there. Number 2, it's starting to come out from former UFC employees that Donald Trump was never actually at UFC 30. First event he ever went to was a fight at the Meadowlands, allegedly. Okay. And really, and according to former UFC executives, Trump really wasn't he was a supporter, but he wasn't the supporter that he is now. And even a former PR head of the UFC said there was no such mention of Trump in any press release about the UFC until 2016. So that's a major question mark there. The validity of those. Obviously, he has an impact for sure. And he's one of Dana's good personal friends. But parts of the story, I think, are being overblown a little bit to make it look better than it actually is. And this is according to obviously former executives and whatnot. So it remains to be seen what exactly happens with this event, if there's going to be fallout from it. There's a lot of people who aren't in support of it for one reason or another. A lot of it is due to politics. A lot of it is due to, saying, oh, you can't use the people's house to destroy it and different things like that. Not to make it political, but there are a lot of people who believe that this is a political maneuver to only strengthen the UFC and TKO's business and nobody else, without mentioning the fact that everybody who's there is getting to attend for free. But of course, no one really wants to fully talk about that. But that's either here or there. But it'll be interesting though for sure. In fact, I was even reading some political reporters, and his day today is a mess. He's in meetings right now, apparently. Then he has a family dinner. Then he has a private pre-event dinner that only 100 people, I think, are invited to. And then there's the fights themselves. So then he'll watch them, and then he'll go to France for the summit tomorrow, assuming the fight goes off as smoothly as it hopes to for Trump. So we shall see. But that is sort of the Trump narrative around this event. Let's talk about some other logistics with this event. So, for those of you who maybe are new to the UFC, you guys may not know this. The UFC is on Paramount Plus, and this is not a paid advertisement. Paramount, if you're listening, I would love if you sponsored me or sponsored the show, because I would love to plug you guys every chance I can. But I'm going to plug you guys free advertising as per usual. Let's do it. So, I don't have a script for this, but what I can say is tonight's event in full will be on Paramount Plus, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You only need one subscription, no pay-per-view, to watch this event live. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Go on Paramount right now. Choose a plan or connect your TV provider if you already have access through there, and you can stream UFC Freedom 250 without a paywall, without any of that stuff. You can get the whole card. It's 7 fights, no prelims. It's an old school type UFC event, very old school. The UFC doesn't usually do this. Usually it's a 12 to 14 fight card. They usually don't go off the beaten path like this, but they are doing this for the special circumstances. And again, as Dana White has alluded to, every fight that's taking place on the White House lawn is critically important because there are stakes attached in every single fight. So that's rare compared to other UFCs. Usually they bury some of these, debut fights and stuff like that. Usually guys or girls off contender that are making their debuts. They went as very strategically as they possibly could with every single fight on this card, whether you like the card or you hate it. So I think that's very interesting to note as well. But 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's not on DirecTV. It's not on Xfinity. It's not on any of those. You have to go to Paramount Plus. You can do it on your computer if you don't have a streaming device. Even if you have a smart TV, you can download it directly from your app store, whether Google Play or whatever the case is. Find Paramount Plus, install it, log in, or sign up. It's super easy to do. Every single UFC fight, this isn't a joke. For those of you who don't know this, every UFC fight for the next 7 years will be exclusively streamed live without an extra fee to Paramount Plus. Every single UFC event, all 43 of them, including every episode of The Ultimate Fighter as well, which stay tuned for Ultimate Fighter post wrap-up show following episode 1. And by the way, anybody can watch it. I'll just say now, it's exclusive on Paramount Plus now. It came out last night. Wasn't really given much of a heads up that it was out last night, but it is now out. So stay tuned for a wrap-up show later on in the probably afternoon or evening is when we'll put it out, I would think. Probably after Freedom 250, because those fights are going to get buried, or that episode is going to get buried. It's Daniel Cormier, Michael Bisping. There's some decent fighters on it. 20 in total, straw weights and bantamweights, I'm pretty sure, are the cast members for that. So stay tuned. It should be really exciting. It should be a great season. And in fact, let me just double verify that because I think that's correct. Let's write it down. Let's take one more look at this. Let's see. Remember, let's see. Yeah, bantamweights and women's strawweights. You have 20 fighters in total. Bisping and Daniel Cormier are the coaches for this season. So that's going to do it for a bit of a preview for the UFC White House event. Before we go, though, a few other reminders regarding this event as well. It is a one-of-one event. This event will never happen. So if you have a ticket to FanFest or if you are one of the 4,300 invited guests to UFC, congratulations. You are experiencing history in the making. It is going to be Super Bowl-like security for this event. There's 1,000 or close to 1,000 media members there that get to cover the event. Most of the people, though, that will be closer to the octagon, from what I understand, will be MMA media members. While the White House political correspondents will be closer to the White House press briefing room for much of the evening while the fights are going on, as far as I understand. I could be wrong. I can even go on Twitter and look now because I kind of like this media side of things here to see what's going on. Let's look. Oh, we have an alert update from the Weather Channel. I don't have a breaking news banner, but according to the Weather Channel, UFC Freedom 250 is facing a chaotic weather setup at the White House South Lawn with a 60% chance of thunderstorms, heavy downpours, and wind gusts up to 34 miles per hour, threatening to delay the outdoor fights. On top of the storm risk, brutal DC humidity is driving a triple-digit heat index, which is what I reported yesterday. The feel-like temperature is 102 degrees. Or reported this morning, rather, not yesterday. I wrote the story yesterday, but it came out this morning. Point taken. It's driving a triple-digit heat index along massive swarms of mosquitoes and gnats that fighters will have to battle inside the cage, where the venue's massive 92-foot overhang will keep the octagon dry. A single lightning strike within 8 miles will trigger an automatic 30-minute freeze on the entire event. That is breaking news from the Weather Channel. Oh my goodness. The UFC's worst nightmare is potentially going to happen with this weather concern. The entire layout of the White House structure is insane. They have a claw that they're calling that oversees the octagon. They have several canopy structures to try to protect the canvas itself. But oh my God, this is a disaster because a 30-minute delay is wild. Let's see. What else is there? Let's take a look at more weather. I mean, I know we had gone away from weather for a bit, but let's look. For those who care, the Zach Brown band performed last night. You can go to that. That was free. Oh, here it is. This is according to Mike Nels. He is an entrepreneur and political strategist turned content creator. It says, I've talked to a lot of Trump supporters about this, and every single one of them has told me this UFC fight at the White House is the dumbest effing thing they've ever heard of. There's no real audience for this crap. I don't quite know if I agree with Mr. Nels. I mean, there were thousands of people at the weigh-ins yesterday. There were thousands of people at the press conference yesterday. I think there's an audience for it for sure. But I don't know, man. There's going to be a lot of mixed opinions on this. I've always looked at it as I'm just going to enjoy the fights, assuming they happen. What else? What else is going on? I said I'd be live for 30 minutes, but I forgot I should probably go an hour because it's what it deserves. Let's take a look at some more statements. Let's take a look at this from Secretary Doug Burgum. This is actually a supportive statement here. This is kind of cool. As the White House hosts a UFC event on June 14th, we're reminded that Theodore Roosevelt brought his own fighting spirit to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Theodore Roosevelt often boxed and wrestled inside the White House. When suffering a permanent eye injury during a sparring match, he carried that same toughness into conservation as he fought to preserve federal lands for the benefit and use of all Americans. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives validity, who comes short again and again because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end of the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while doing greatly, so that his place shall never be those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And that was by the late, great Theodore Roosevelt. Let's see. Let's take a look at this article from The Hill. 5 things to know. We'll get into this from the casual fan's perspective. We've already gone into the weather. A bunch of celebrities have been invited. A number of celebrities have reportedly been invited, including stars like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Adam Sandler, Mario Lopez, and Tom Brady. Spoiler alert, none of them will actually be there. That's interesting. But Elon Musk will be there, according to Dana White. He said it yesterday on the weigh-in show that he will be there. The West Wing angered someone that reportedly ceded control of credentialing media organizations to UFC, the organization that is paying tens of millions of dollars on staging for Sunday's event. While more than 4,000 people are expected to be in the White House grounds during the fights, the administration is planning for tens of thousands more to gather under the ellipse just south of the gates to watch on large screens at what they're calling the biggest UFC viewing party of all time. Let that sink in. Let's take a look at some more things to know about this. Okay. And The Hill this is good journalism. Shout out to The Hill. They killed it with this next bullet. They said, while Sunday's event won't feature Islam Makhachev, the UFC's top pound-for-pound ranked fighter, there will be plenty of high-level action to entice hardcore fans of the sport from beginning to end. Against the most unique background the UFC has worked to put itself on, Sunday's main event will pit Georgian superstar Ilia Topuria, currently the top-ranked lightweight fighter in the world, against American Justin Gaethje. Now, they mess up in the next paragraph because Alex Ciryl Gane is the furthest thing from an undercard fight. It's the co-main event, and there's a championship on the line. Come on, The Hill. Come on, The Hill. All right, this is according to Dana White. For UFC fans all over the world, this is a very unique experience for everybody, and we're expecting Super Bowl-type numbers for this fight. I don't think it'll be Super Bowl numbers, but we shall see. Marco Rubio said this about the event today: you have one of the most recognizable American sports brands on the planet. The number of foreign leaders that want to come to this UFC 250 event is unbelievable. We are polarized and divided around the world, and we need more of these forums and setting where we can bring people together to enjoy something. Whether that's controversial or not, that is what Marco Rubio said. So there is that as well. In the final 15 minutes of the stream, let's talk about the World Cup so far. So, the World Cup so far. Let's take a look at the standings of all the group stages here while we can. In Group A, beginning with Mexico, they won it won its inaugural World Cup game of this year to lead in first place. South Korea is also 1-0. Uh, Czechia has not won yet, and neither is South Africa. That is Group A. In Group B, Switzerland leads. Switzerland leads. They well. By the way, everybody's 0-1 in Group B, so this doesn't really count. Scotland leads in Group C, with one win. Also in that group, it's Morocco, Brazil, and Haiti. Haiti did play Scotland last night, and it looks like Scotland did win. The United States of America beat Paraguay on Friday, so it leads Group D alongside Australia and Turkey as well. In Group E, Germany, Morocco, Ivory Coast, and Ecuador have yet to play, and neither have Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, or I think it's Tunisia. I've never heard of that country before. Then there's Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. None of those countries have played yet. In Group H, Spain, Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay is in Group H. Group I is France, Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. Group J is Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Group K is Portugal, the Republic of Congo, Uzbekistan, who has some of the nastiest fighters in the world. Uzbekistan and Dagestan know how to produce MMA fighters. Let's see if they know what's going on the soccer pitch there. They also have Colombia, and then in Group L, England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama to round it out for the group stage standings. Let's take a look at who is playing today in the World Cup. There's a match at noon today between Germany and Morocco. Then at 3 p.m., the Netherlands will play Japan. In Group E, Ivory Coast will play Ecuador. In Group F, Sweden will play Tunisia. And then yesterday, Australia won 2-0. And Scotland won in full time yesterday, 1-0 as well. Taking a look at Monday's slate, Spain will play Cabo Verde, Belgium will play Egypt, Saudi Arabia will play at 5 p.m. against Uruguay, and in Group G, Iran will play New Zealand. And yeah, in the United States, let's see when the United States plays. Which in the United States will play again this Friday against Australia at 2 p.m. So you'll be able to see the United States play then as well in group stage action. In Group D. All right. That's going to do it for another edition of Zain Zinger Part 2. Before we get out of here, though, let's do some more reads while we're at it, because we have a lot of reads to get through. Let's do a network-wide update here. What's going on with all these streams here? Let's plug a few more. Callan's Cranium with Callan McCordy. That's on Wednesday nights, midnight Eastern, Tuesdays on the West Coast, and 9 p.m. Pacific. When the lights go down, the deep dives begin. Join Callan McCordy for Callan's Cranium, airing Wednesday at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday nights. This is a late night journey into the psychology, the strategy, and the fascinating oddities of the sports world. We explore the angles others miss and the stories that define the mental side of competition. If you're looking for a perspective that stays with you long after the final whistle, get inside the cranium every single week, only on the ETV network. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also taking a look at Press Row. It'll be back on Wednesdays. Get the credential perspective you crave. Join Callan McCormick and Nick Morganson on Press Row Wednesday afternoons at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We're navigating the high-stakes shifts in the media landscape, from the ethics of modern insider reporting to the rising costs of the fan experience. Whether it's a staff revolt in a major publication or the economic impact or the economic, let's see, wait a minute, where was I? From the ethics of modern insider reporting to the rising cost of fan experience, whether it's staff revolt at major publications or the economic impact of global sporting events, we will provide a grand circle tour of sports business and media headlines. We take you behind the curtain and onto press row. All right. Finally, as well, taking a look here. Let's keep going with some more shows. Let's keep going. All right. Okay. Let's do it. Every Friday, if you're looking for that plus money edge, Connor Rowland and Nate Miller have you covered on unnecessary wagers. Every Friday, 5 Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, they break down the tactical ripple effects of the week's biggest matchups, from the underdog effect to the NBA playoffs to the emerging powerhouse on the MLB diamond. We look past the box scores to find hidden value, whether it's the math behind a 4-leg stabilizer or the chaos of a 6-leg lottery ticket. We find the trends you need to know, gamble informed with the necessary wagers. And again, please gamble responsibly. All right. Let's plug one of the newer shows on the network. Every Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Look, we all have that one friend who thinks they know everything about the game, the one who drops the hot takes so wild you just have to stop and stare. Well, it's time to trade up for some better opinions. Tune in to Give and Takes with Nate Miller, the only show brave enough to say out loud what you're already thinking on the TV. Join Nate every single week as he breaks down the biggest storylines, shuts down the hype trains, and delivers the unfiltered truths you won't get anywhere else. It's fast, it's funny, and it's completely, utterly, and I added that in, utterly unscripted. Catch Give and Takes with Nate Miller live every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Don't just watch the sports cycle happen. Get the real takes with Nate Miller. Okay. Actually, guys, I just remembered something and we messed up here. I apologize. I gave you the wrong day for what would be considered my newest episode of Bando's Breakdowns next week. It would be Friday, June 18th. There it is right here. Let me just double check one more time. I think that's it. Oh, wait, no, that is not right at all. No, I had it right. I apologize. I was correct initially. I was looking at the wrong month. So we did have it correct. It is Friday, June 19th. But nonetheless, though, yeah, let's keep going with a few more reads here. I apologize for the confusion. I don't know why I just did that, but I'm all over the place. Anyway, let's take a look here. Let's plug a few more if we can. Oh, what else was there? Oh, it's the show that started it all, and now it's ready for prime time. Join Nick Morganson and the ETB family of hosts for Empty the Bench, the flagship show of the ETB network, as we cover every single angle of the sports world with the unfiltered insight you need to get your day started. And these air on Tuesdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific with myself as well. Okay. All right. And we'll go through a few more, I guess. We'll go through a few more. All right. Screw it, we'll do myself. Here's Bando's Breakdowns. It airs on Fridays, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. Go beyond the highways with the personality-driven look at the games you love. Join myself for Bando's Breakdowns every Friday, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. Zain dives deep into the tape, focusing on bracket-busting collegiate performances, individual brilliance on the court, and the trending news that everyone else is talking about. It's a masterclass in sports commentary that prepares you for the weekend ahead with expert analysis and point of view you won't hear anywhere else. You can join me every Friday only on the ETB Network. Subscribe once again, youtube.com/ETB Network. You know the drill. All right, everyone. That is going to wrap it up for another edition of Zain Bando. I apologize for popping that up again. But yes, the World Cup is still going on. It just started. It's the furthest thing from over to be going on for the next several weeks. All right. Follow the show on social media at Bando's Breakdown. You can listen to Bando's Breakdowns wherever you get your podcasts. You can read me over on several different platforms, including the Sporting News, Field Level Media, MMA Knockout on Sports Illustrated, which is going to be your place to be all day and all night long for all the UFC action. If you want to see what me and the team are cooking up tonight for UFC Freedom 250, and if you need last-minute picks and predictions, go read my analysis over on MMAKnockout.com. Would be greatly appreciated if you guys checked us out, as we're in the thick of the MMA ecosystem right now, and it seems to be like it's going to be a banner day for the entire site. Looking very forward to seeing what we come up with there. And of course, you can catch me on a lot of other syndicates as well across the internet ecosystem. I'm only a Google search away for all that stuff and so much more. Finally, you can listen to Bando's Breakdowns or your podcast. And of course, please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, as we're getting so ever so close to 4,000 watch hours. Shout out to the 46 people who have joined today's stream. It's greatly appreciated that you guys checked all of this out. It was a really fun time to do all of this with you guys this morning, as we previewed and predicted everything that is UFC Freedom 250 tonight from the South Lawn of the White House in Washington, D.C. Do not miss this historic event. 7 fights, no prelims, main event of the evening, Justin Gaethje, Ilia Topuria for Ilia Topuria's undisputed lightweight title. The co-main event, Alex Pereira looking to chase history, go for the third belt at heavyweight. This time, first two were middleweight and light heavyweight. This time he's fighting Ciryl Gane. Huge spot for Poatan to try to get it done and build up to what would be one of the biggest fights in UFC heavyweight history if it can get made, against Tom Aspinall, hopefully later this year, early next year, whenever the UFC decides to do it. But again, my name is Zain Bando, and thank you so much for tuning into another edition of Zain Zinger Part 2. Enjoy the event tonight. Enjoy all the World Cup action. Enjoy Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights. And we will be back next Friday for a new edition of Bando's Breakdowns. Again, I had my days a little bit mixed up. It'll be Friday, June 19th. And let's just triple check this here. This is my bad. Friday, June 19th, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. We will see you guys there. Have a good one. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy everything tonight. It should be a blast. Hopefully the weather holds off as much as it can with very few delays so these fights can get done. Enjoy all that stuff. Good luck on your predictions and your parlays. Please gamble responsibly, as we said yesterday on the pre-show with myself and Tom Bando. If you haven't checked it out, go under the live tab. It's under there. You can get our picks and predictions for every fight on the card, the historical significance of Freedom 250, and so much more. I'm done rambling on. We'll catch you guys soon. Have a great day. And cheers, everyone. Thanks.